Now, yesterday I was at my eldest daughter Leanne's high school graduation ceremony, and it really got me thinking about how AI impacts education and people's careers in the future. I was actually doing the speech on it to the graduates and parents as well, so I had to kind of put down some thoughts yesterday, which I'll share now. So, education is particularly affected by AI, more so than other sectors, in very fundamental ways. And I've been doing kind of work over the years with the World Bank, United Nations on the more kind of philanthropy side of the impact of technology on jobs, especially around vulnerable people. And the World Bank did a very interesting study recently in Nigeria. UNICEF had done this in Malawi a couple of years back already. The Malawi one was there was a refugee camp due to war zones, and UNICEF couldn't put in teachers easily to help the children in that refugee camp. So they were using AI as an individual tutor, and were noticing that it was very effective at teaching basic literacy, numeracy. But the World Bank said, okay, we can do a bit better and have a more structured study on this. So they did this one in Nigeria. So what they were doing was after school for about 6 weeks, they were giving Nigerian school children access just part time after school to an AI individual tutor. And at the end of the 6 weeks, they measured how far along had the students come in terms of academic achievement. And they found that they'd advanced 2 years in terms of academic knowledge gathering, gaining, within part time 6 weeks. And they said, even then, it was the first time we did this experiment, we probably could have done this in 4 weeks. And then the big question arises, well, if you could teach children that fast, why does the Nigerian government have to put kids through school for so many years when you could teach it all in a fraction of that time? And interestingly, that conversation's also been raised within Vietnam at the government level as a fundamental question, which is going to come up more and more often. Now, obviously, if you could get someone to complete a degree by the age of 10, theoretically possible with AI, but it misses all of the maturity and everything else that the person would need to develop to be the complete person. You wouldn't want, if you were going in for major surgery, to be operated on by a 10-year-old, would you? Because the person wouldn't have the maturity to be able to handle the situation. So it's not just the academic attainment, obviously, but it raises some very fundamental questions. If it isn't the pure obtaining of memorized knowledge, which is questionable these days anyway, when AI can memorize everything and do most transactional intelligence for free, then what are you teaching in the first place? We'll come on to this a bit later. But this extends through into university because as I was doing the graduation speech, I gave this example. So I'd been talking with a Vietnamese university lecturer recently about AI, and she was saying, AI is great for her work because she can set all the coursework, the materials with an AI. She then sets the assignments and the exams for the students using AI. And then when they submit things, she marks all of everything with AI. But then I said, well, look, in Vietnam, all students, as far as I know, at university are using AI to do everything. So what you're doing is you're setting the course and the piece of work that needs doing, give it to the student gives it to another AI, and then your AI marks it. So basically, you've got an AI setting the task, doing the task, and checking the task. So basically, what you've got then is just two AIs talking to each other. And where's the human involvement, let alone any kind of educational attainment for the person? So of course that system's unsustainable as well. So my daughter's, heading to university soon. And again, this big question mark comes up over universities. What can they do? So there are obviously training, I suppose, a functional literacy in some subjects, so you'd know how to drive an AI in the future. Obviously, they should be teaching AI skills itself. People who can orchestrate AI swarms are going to be in a much better position than others. So that's obviously something. I told the graduating students yesterday, even if the university doesn't offer that, that's something they should be trying to learn by themselves anyway, as it's an absolute essential life skill. But the other one I did say was human skills. We've heard about this for many years. It's often called soft skills or 21st century skills. But where the cost or the value of transactional operational intelligence comes down to zero because AI can do it for free, what is left in terms of human to human value? And this is where you get things like empathy, communication, persuasion. These are human skills that have a human to human value. And this is very important, I think, for people to concentrate on those. This is really where I think differentiation in people's careers is going to come from in the future. And it's an area that a lot of education systems have been notoriously weak on. They regarded it as not so serious. There are different levels of attempts at this. My daughter's just finished the International Baccalaureate, which I thought was very well designed for that. I know some universities she looked at were very good at trying to, give more practical experience and these human skills. But a lot of other universities also are still teaching purely the old way, and the answer of what they're going to get is exactly these two chatbots just talking with each other, which is a bit pointless. I know some people at those universities at the moment, those kinds of universities, and they say it takes them maybe 2, 3 hours a week of studying. Well, it's not really studying, they just give everything to the AI. So they get a piece of paper and a degree at the end of that, but kind of what's the point? So this is a major one for the education industry. There's a major rethink of what knowledge needs to be transmitted in the first place, how is that done, and how fast. And if you can do the pure academic bit so fast, what do you fill the rest of the time up with? Not an easy one. So in a lot of sectors, I have some fairly good ideas of, which way AI is going to take things, like robotics in manufacturing. Education, this is a really tough one. I'm sure we'll get there in the end, but there's going to be a lot of thinking and changing needed in that sector.